What's good, everybody? It's been a long time since our last story, but I promise you ghouls and goblins, the wait is well worth it. After digging into the deathly reaches of the internet, I give you the tale of the hairy man. There was a young boy named Willie who lived with his mother in a ramshackle hut deep in the swamp. Willie's father disappeared years ago, and whenever he asked his mother what had happened, she told him that the hairy man had got him. So steer clear of the hairy man, she always warned, or else he'll put you in his sack, and I will never see you again. Willie listened to his mother for a few good years. She knew all about the swamp and the terrible creatures that lived in its murky waters. Willie's mother also told him to be careful whenever he was in the swamp and to never trust a stranger. If you go into the swamp, take your hound dogs, his mother warned. The hairy man is scared of dogs. One day, Willie went into the swamp to cut some poles for the hen roost. While he was working, his dogs ran off after a wild pig. He listened as their yelps and howls faded into the distance. Then Willie suddenly found himself alone. Suddenly, he heard something moving in the undergrowth. Looking up, he saw a hairy man coming through the trees. He had wild, bulging eyes and was carrying a large sack over his shoulder. He was naked, and his body was completely covered in coarse hair. His stairs and toes were curled, and he looked like the hoof of a cow. Willie dropped his axe and climbed a tree. The hairy man stopped and stared at Willie dead into his eyes. His mother widened in a grin, revealing crooked, yellow teeth. "Why are you up in that tree?" the hairy man asked. He drooled as he spoke. "My mother told me to stay away from you," Willie replied. "What do you have in that sack?" "Nothing yet," said the hairy man, "but I'm fixin' to get me something real soon." With that, he picked up Willie's axe and began to chop at the base of the tree. Willie yelled for his mother to come and help him, but she was too far away to hear his frail cries. The hairy man just chopped faster, and the tree began to wobble and shake. Then Willie hollered as loud as he could, "Here, dogs!" His hounds came running through the trees, yelping and growling. The hairy man took one look at the snarling dogs and tossed the axe away. He took off running through the swamp, fleeing in terror. Willie's mama asked, "You know how to get rid of that hairy man, right? Next time you see him, tell him you heard he doesn't know any magic. Then ask him to change himself into something big. Then ask him to change himself into something small. When he does, grab him and put him in the sack, then throw him into the river." The next time Willie had to go to the swamp, he tied his dogs up at home. When Willie saw the hairy man, he said, "Hello, hairy man." Then he asked the hairy man to change himself into a giraffe, an alligator, and a possum. When the hairy man changed into a possum, Willie grabbed him, put him in the sack, and threw him in the river. Then on the way home, Willie saw the hairy man once again. Willie climbed a tree fast. "Ha! I changed myself into the wind and blew myself back out of the sack," said the hairy man. "Come down here. I am hungry." "Can you make things disappear, like the rope around my pants?" Willie asked. "I can make all the rope in the country disappear," growled the hairy man, and that is exactly what he did. Willie hollered, "Here, dogs!" The rope that held the dogs back from home disappeared, and the dogs chased the hairy man away. When Willie returned home, his mother said, "You tricked the hairy man twice. If we can do it one more time, we'll be rid of him forever." Willie's mother sat down and closed her eyes to think. Willie's mother had conjured magic too. For protection, Willie crossed a broom and an axe over the window. Then he built a fire in the fireplace. His mother asked for a piglet from the pen. She put it in Willie's bed under a quilt, and Willie hid off in the loft. The dogs suddenly started to chase some wild animals, and then Willie heard the hairy man on the roof once again. The hot chimney kept him outside, but at the front door the hairy man hollered, "Willie's mama, if you don't give me your baby, I'll destroy everything you own, and that I promise." "I'll give the baby to you if you promise never to come back," Willie's mother offered. The hairy man proposed, and Willie's mother opened the door, pointing to Willie's bed. The hairy man rushed in and discovered a piglet under the quilt. "This is a baby pig," he roared. Willie's mother declared, "I never said which baby I'd give you." A very angry hairy man grabbed the piglet and ran off into the swamp. Willie and his mother danced for joy, and they never saw the hairy man again. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that sure took an unexpected twist. I hope the hairy man doesn't come and find you, but if he does, you know what to do. Stay creepy, stay weird, stay elevated. I will see you next time, family.